All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Health Tips for Life. I'm waiting on Dr. Stewart to come online here, so because in his location, but I figured I'd just start and wait for him till he shows up here. So I'll be talking to you about today, by the way, today's topic. Wait, here's Dr. Stewart. He's right here. Let me add him to the stage. Hi, you, Doc. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, I can.
Can you hear me now? I can't hear you now. How about now? Oh no. Oh no. Let's see if we can get the sound going. Nope, I cannot hear you.
How about now?
Now I can hear you perfectly. Yes.
Perfect. There we go.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. And the topic we have today has been fascinating me for decades.
Indeed.
And it's an important topic. And we're
Yeah,
going to find out all about how important
okay.
this really is.
Indeed. Well, let me first share a few things with the community here. And just to give a heads up to everybody that we're going to be doing another show after Christmas, of course. My apologies for last time. We couldn't make it because I was out of town and it just wasn't feasible to do so. And even yesterday, we were scheduling it, but I ended up having to leave town. So, in any event, we're here. And I'll be sharing with you also towards the end some pictures from the garden, see where things are. Then we'll just take a few questions, whoever shows up here first. So, all right. Well, today's topic, we're going to be addressing coffee. As we all know, one of the most popular drink around the world, everywhere, except that some people do not know how many cups a day to drink. I was one of those. I used to do 3 cups a day. Then I started to feel, well, maybe it's too much. So I cut it down to 1 cup a day. That's it. Today I had 2 cups. And the reason I had 2 cups because Elizabeth made me one before the show and I got hyped up. Oh, here's Jude. I got to say hi to Jude. George is one of our avid supporters. Has been giving me some tips, and I can't thank him enough for this. Thank you so much, George. So good to have you. So as I said, I cut down coffee from 3 cups to 1 cup, and you know what? I feel so good having 1 cup a day. So this is what we're gonna be talking about today. You're gonna provide us with your insights as to what happens to the brain chemically when we drink that cup of coffee. So the floor is yours, Dr. Stewart.
Well, let's start off with what's the number one reason people drink coffee? Because of the caffeine in it.
Caffeine. Yes, you're right.
Now, caffeine happens to be one of the most addictive substances on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah, that's important. And then you say, well, how big of an issue is this really? 4 billion cups of coffee are consumed on Earth every day. 4
Oh my
billion.
God. Wow, that's a lot.
517 million cups of coffee in the United States
Hmm.
every day. The average person drinks 3 cups.
I was doing three.
You were doing 3.
But I cut it down. I only do one.
Well, you're going to get some surprise. Our audience is going to get some surprises as we go through this.
Yeah.
Uh, now we have 64% of Americans consume coffee every day.
Hmm.
64%. That tells you that there must be something to this for that many people to drink that much coffee on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
So no matter whether you think coffee's good or bad or good for your health, none of that matters because it's here to stay. With this many people drinking it on an everyday basis worldwide,
That's
we're
true.
going to have coffee in our lives forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
David, when you drink, go ahead.
I was gonna say there were a lot of research being conducted about this. I
It's a
mean, it's
massive
nothing
amount of
new.
research on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of it has been really surprising and useful, which is what research should be, useful
Yeah, of course.
in terms of how we regulate our own lives. So if coffee is so addictive,
Yeah.
and it is, why do people do it? Well, there's no doubt about it. Caffeine actually makes us feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And the scientific community has well researched this. Mood is improved.
Mm-hmm.
There's a dramatic measurable decrease in depression and suicide. Wow.
Wow.
So it's really associated with any number of positive things. You feel more emotions, you feel more pleasure, your kindness, you're more friendly, you're calmer. Overall happiness is dramatically increased, and there's no negative emotional effects of coffee. How's that for an addictive good substance?
That's interesting.
And when I was doing the review of the literature on this, the amount of research,
Uh-huh.
one study had 240,000 people in it. That's a big
Wow.
study. And these are the conclusions that they came to. And when you take a look at coffee, it's in terms of mood, yes, it's good. But
Mm-hmm.
for women, it's
Mm-hmm.
particularly good. It really pulls them out of depression at a surprising and delightful rate. I mean, it really pulls them out. David, when you drink coffee, have you noticed you think more clearly? I certainly have.
That is true. That is true. I just like again. I used to drink 3 cups, but I'm noticing far better now when I do only 1 cup. And I must admit, as far as the thinking level, it was both in either direction, whether with 3 cups or just with one.
Which one was better?
I feel better with one, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you with 3 cups, did you ever get the jitters,
No,
shakiness, or okay?
no, I don't.
We'll talk about that in a little while. Well, all the studies added up. Do you know what a mega study is? They take all the research
Mm-hmm.
and do multiple regression analysis statistically on it, come up with conclusions based on all the research they can find.
Interesting.
And
Yes.
they found people are dramatically more productive. There was
Mm-hmm.
an old Dolly Parton movie that I really enjoyed called 9 to 5. And one of the main songs in it was about coffee and instant ambition.
Interesting.
And I found it to be true.
Mm.
Working in an office, I found that once people got coffee into them, they were a lot more friendly. Going, okay. It's a little bit of humor here. One woman, she couldn't talk until she had coffee.
Oh my
And then she
God.
couldn't stop talking.
Well, good luck with her significant others.
I'm not touching that one.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you say, well,
Yeah.
what about athletic performance? Clear, measurable, enhanced performance. Weightlifters could lift more weight. Runners could run longer and had more endurance and faster. And the recovery time was improved from the time
Yeah.
you worked out until the time you felt good again. Is it any wonder that athletes do caffeine before an event?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, a lot of governing boards had to limit the amount of caffeine people were taking because it
Mm.
enhanced performance unreasonably high.
Mm. Well, speaking of the sport, I was aware of a study that was conducted way back. I don't remember the year. And at that time, they mentioned that the consumption of coffee, just increased or increased rather the time to exhaustion. This
Yeah,
is the difference. For
yeah,
example,
yeah.
when you do it during a cycling exercise, if you drink coffee before, that will increase the time to exhaustions by about 12%,
Oh,
which
that's
means,
important.
yeah, which means a significantly reduced now subjective level of fatigue for the athletes. That's why I found it. I remember that one because I used to be a cyclist. I used to do cycling. And I noticed when I drink coffee before I'll go on a road, and I will go on a road for about an hour 45 minutes nonstop,
Yeah.
I was always fine. So 12%,
Wow.
12%.
So
That's what I remember.
so you've experienced it yourself in terms of athletic events. Wow. Here's another thing that's just so remarkable. It reduces overall premature death from all causes.
Hmm.
You go, what? You drink coffee and the incidence of diabetes is reduced by 12%?
Interesting.
How about Parkinson's disease, cognitive decline, dementia? All dramatically reduced based on coffee consumption.
Hmm.
Liver disease and liver cancer, dramatically reduced. You're going, what is this stuff? Anyway, we're going to dig into the chemistry. We're going to find out what it is.
Yeah.
Heart disease is reduced.
Wow.
And here's the key to this. And this isn't in the caffeine, it's within the other compounds in coffee.
Mm-hmm.
They have something in them called free radical quenchers. Now, a free radical is a molecule that has a loose end on it.
Mm-hmm.
It means it's ready to bind with something. And as it flows through your system, it's going to bind to the interior of the arteries. It's going to bind someplace. It's going to damage tissue. So if it's in an organ, it's going to damage the organ because it's going to grab onto it and pull the tissue away. Small amount. But if you have a lot of free radicals, it's doing a lot of damage. And over time, free radicals are really what we think causes all kinds of illness and problems for the human being.
Wow.
Well, whatever this substance is, and we could name it, but whatever the substance is in coffee grabs onto that free radical and carries it out of the body. That's why it has these terrific benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because of this free radical health benefit, gut health is improved. It protects the microbiome. The microbiome is that part of your digestive system in the small intestines that actually has about 1,500 different types of microbes in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they take the food that you eat and they digest it, break it down in such a way that now it goes into the blood and you can absorb it. Without the microbiome, no matter what you eat, it doesn't do you any good.
Yeah.
And the free radical quenchers help preserve the microbiome. Oh, you think that might be important?
Interesting. Yeah.
Going, huh?
Mm.
Oh, and here's it protects against breast cancer, colon cancer, and colorectal cancer. Again, that's not the caffeine; it's this free radical substance that's in the coffee.
Yeah. Now, for the breast cancer thing, I remember reading the study that came out of England way back, that they said that it contributed by the reduction to about between 12 and 20%. I don't remember the exact number.
And that's what it's doing pretty much across the board. It's not 100%, but you start saying 10 to 20%. That's significant. That means 20% of the people who would have gotten it don't get it. I mean, you're talking millions of people getting this stuff every year. You're saying hundreds of thousands of people are benefiting from coffee by not getting these cancers or type 2 diabetes or Alzheimer's or cognitive decline. And here's one I thought was really quite cute.
Yeah.
Senior citizens who drink coffee have significantly more sex.
Interesting.
Now that's going to motivate a lot of seniors.
Well, actually, joking aside, you brought a good point. Here is why. In France, senior citizens still active sexually, believe it or not.
Wow.
And because I mean, I don't know how many are familiar with the French culture or whatever. Did you know what the French people do after every meal?
What?
Cup of coffee.
Oh.
Yes. Beside the wine is with the meal, but coffee is at the end. And they don't do cream. Rarely that, at least within some members of my own family, they just do black coffee the way it is. no sugar, no milk.
Well, my understanding is from any number of people that the
Yeah,
actual quality of the food in France, the raw ingredients, are dramatically better than you can get in the United States.
that is
It's
true.
hard to get to that quality in the United States,
That is
whereas
true.
it's common in France.
Yeah, it's the no. I mean, you see people eating so many whatever, and they hardly ever get fat. But also, they move around a lot. They don't sit the entire day.
Yeah.
They move around a lot, so that's just the norm for that one.
Well, they start with better raw ingredients, from what I've heard.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the negative effects of coffee.
Yeah. Before
I'm
you
going to say,
move to that,
yeah,
before you move to that, Doc, you brought up earlier. You brought up the type 2 diabetes.
reduces
Now,
the amount. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, we're really talking about cortisol, and cortisol is what makes us fat.
Uh-huh.
Cortisol it's part of a complex chemistry that goes to insulin,
Uh-huh.
and diabetes is the cell walls, which have perfect receptors for any number of substances, but including insulin, either get damaged or dumbed down, which means that you have fewer of them because you've been with the high amount of sugar in the system. That means cortisol, too.
Yeah.
Your pancreas is now producing wildly too much insulin.
Interesting.
Insulin is can be quite caustic to your vascular system.
Yeah.
So what we're really looking at here is uh, these substances in coffee are regulating cortisol. They're
Mhm.
regulating the amount of insulin, and the damage is significantly reduced, and the number of cases of type 2 diabetes is diminished by about 12%.
Yeah.
And it's all related to the compounds in coffee.
Yeah. There is another thing that I found in a research about this one,
Yeah,
specifically pertaining to type 2 diabetes. And
yeah,
this one, believe it or not, this was based, the review that conducted 30 studies, not one, not two,
mega study.
30,
Yeah,
30. And what they found is that each cup of coffee people consumed per day was linked to about 6% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And they said one of the reasons for all this, and you will know this one here, it has to do with the ability for coffee to preserve the function of what they call beta cells in your pancreas.
yes. Those are the ones that actually secrete insulin.
That's why. Okay.
And so the more of these, it's not the more caffeine doing it, but it's the
Hmm.
more of the compounds in coffee. And 3 cups seem to be a magic amount. But we're going to talk about that as well,
Okay.
because there's a trick here that's really going to help people out. One of the things that is difficulty is, and I'm going to talk more about this later,
Yeah.
but insomnia is a direct result of caffeine, not of coffee, but of
Hmm.
caffeine. And to say it briefly right here, it takes a long time to get the caffeine out of your body. 6 to 8 hours is the half-life. But the significance is the next half-life is 6 to 8 hours too. So by the time you go to bed, you have 25% of the caffeine you had in the morning. Go and hold it. That doesn't sound so good. Well, it's worse than that. These studies here suggest, they don't suggest it, they say it at a highly significant level.
Hmm.
The caffeine has now dramatically, it's like you had a big cup of coffee, now you got 25% of that you just drank. That's the effect on the body. And the difficulty is that it affects your sleep cycle. You might sleep as long, but you're not anywhere near as productive sleep-wise, which means that if you didn't have any caffeine over a couple of weeks, that all the categories of benefit, most of them would still be there. That is caffeine-free coffee.
Hmm.
It's not completely free, but significantly less. You would have all the great benefits of it, but you wouldn't have this downside of reduced quality of sleep. Yeah.
Very interesting. It is a question here, Doc, because we'll take questions as they come in this way. I'd like to have the community be part of the conversation. That's how I've always done. So here's a question from YT. Dr. Ross, does the type of coffee or the way it is prepared make a difference?
Yes. Let's jump to that right now. Caffeine-free coffee is the best deal for us. And because coffee is one of the most heavily pesticide-ridden crops in the world, anytime you're drinking regular coffee, you're getting a real boatload of Roundup specifically and other herbicides and insecticides that are harmful to the human nervous system. So when possible, you certainly want organic coffee. It's the only one to drink. All the others might taste just fine, but they're loaded with these problem chemicals. Here's the way to consider this. If a chemical is going to disrupt the nervous system of an insect, do you have a nervous system too? Yeah, and it disrupts the human nervous system at the same time. I think that might even be one of the contributors to the sleep problem, but I can't say that for certain. I just have a hunch about that. Then there's a particular way. It doesn't matter whether how you get the coffee. Like, is it drip coffee or is it however?
Yeah.
The real thing is, what do you put in it? Now, there's something called the bulletproof coffee. And here's what this is. And this is how I always drink my coffee. You don't put cream in it. You put butter in it. You're going, butter? That doesn't even sound good. It tastes superior. It has to be salt-free butter, because salted butter is already peroxidized and it's already bad for you. And there's something called MCT oil. Fabulous antioxidant, fabulous oil, and it comes in flavors. And I put that in there too. I have a particular one that I really like. It's lemon. And so butter and this lemon MCT oil. It's not sweet, but it's flavorful and terrifically good for you. So that's the recommended way to do it, or do your organic coffee black, one or the other. You put creamers in it with sugar and so on, all of a sudden it's going to jerk your cortisol around. It's going to jerk your insulin around. It's going to give you a sugar problem. And that negates all the benefits that you've been doing getting the coffee otherwise. So that's
I want to share with our viewers here what I put with my coffee.
Yeah.
Two spices. Turmeric and cinnamon.
Excellent.
Put a little bit of turmeric, a little bit of cinnamon. When I grind the coffee, because I grind it fresh, I don't buy coffee that is already grinded. I grind my own based on what I want. But I do add cinnamon and I do add turmeric and shake the coffee. That's how I prepare it.
Turmeric
by the way, Doc, the water has to be hot at 360 degrees.
Oh, that's really hot.
Well, I had to measure into all this. I delved deeper into coffee. I'm going to make a video, by the way, for our viewers, how I prepare coffee at home and share it with you.
Excellent.
I'll do it one day.
Well, turmeric is a powerful antioxidant.
Indeed.
Terrifically good for us. And cinnamon regulates blood sugar. Not only does it add a wonderful flavor, it adds a sweetness that has no sugar in it. So that's a winning combination in terms of how to prepare coffee. Was there another question there, David?
No, not at the
Okay,
moment.
let's go to. Okay, so we're now looking at a number of people drink more than 3 cups and they get the jitters. They get nervous. Well, the answer there is stop at 3, or do your own do your own experiment in terms of how much you really can tolerate.
Yeah.
Uh, for some people, the acid in the coffee gives them a gastric problem, and there's gastric distress or nausea. Well, the point is drink less. It also increases heart rate.
Mm.
Now that can, depending on your health, that may not be a good thing, because it's now going to increase blood pressure. And the newest research, as of a major study last week, was that no matter how old you are, your blood pressure should be in the range of 120/70. And coffee is going to increase it. Let's say your blood pressure is 150/90.
Wow. Mm.
Well, the coffee might just put you into a danger zone. So it's important to know what your blood pressure is. Take all the necessary steps to get it in that 120/70 range. And if you really are having a problem with it, reduce the amount of coffee that you have, because it does increase heart rate and blood pressure. And no matter what other benefits it has, if it kills you, it doesn't do you any good.
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
With some people, the caffeine actually triggers migraines. And it does it through a particular mechanism that it tightens. There's two big muscle groups that come out of your skull down into your shoulders. And you can put your hand on them, you can feel them. That's where most migraine headaches start. So caffeine tightens those muscles, and now you start getting blood restriction in various parts, depending on what you're vulnerable to.
Yeah.
So it's a really good trick. I've done it with a lot of people that start to get a headache, and I get my thumb right on that muscle, and in about 5 seconds, the headache's gone.
Interesting.
And I show people how to do it so they can do it for themselves. It's easy to do. But that's what the caffeine seems to do. It seems to tighten, for migraine people, it seems to tighten those muscles. It also gives you cold hands. And I've never quite understood what the mechanism for that is, but I've seen it for many years, and lots of people have reported it to me. When they get to a certain level of caffeine, their hands go cold. Let's give everyone in the audience a quiz.
Yeah, why not?
Where do coffee beans come from?
That's a question for everybody.
Yeah, does anyone know? Because coffee beans grow on trees.
Interesting. Yeah.
And they're actually called cherry trees. And the variety of cherry tree is the coffee cherry. And they're small, they're red, but they've got this wonderful seed in them. So you have to get rid of the flesh, and then you roast the seed. And we call them coffee beans. And we grind them up and drink it. You take a picture, you look at a picture of a field of coffee trees, and you say, it looks like a cherry orchard. Well, what do you know? It is. So it's actually a fruit seed, harvested and roasted, and we get the benefit of it. So let's talk about what caffeine actually does to the body, because this is highly significant. And we're going to talk some chemistry here, but we'll slow this down to make it as simple and generalized as possible. Every cell in your body has receptors on it. A receptor means there's an opening here with a lock. And for example, you can get calcium or iron or any number of things, but each one lock. So that the molecule of, let's say it's iron, goes click, and now the lock opens, and the iron can go into the cell. It has it for all the substance you can think of. The cell wall is an amazing kind of structure. And the cell wall has receptors for something called adenosine. Now, when you wake up in the morning, your adenosine level is remarkably low, but your body slowly builds it throughout the day. Slowly, slowly. And the effect of the adenosine is it calms you down. It relaxes you. And by the time 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock rolls around, you have a real high level of this stuff, and your body says, I think I want to go to sleep now. But it's part of the accumulation of this adenosine. So we have the receptor. Now we have caffeine, and caffeine fits the organism better than adenosine does. So your body says, okay, let me have the caffeine. It fits better. So the accumulation of adenosine, calming, restful, is blocked. And it's blocked for at least 6 to 8 hours at fully blocking it. And so when it comes time to relax now you're energized because you don't have anything to relax you. This is a pretty cool mechanism. No wonder human beings like us so well. They are highly energized because of the blocking of adenosine.
Interesting.
But by the time you go to bed at night, you don't have the amount of adenosine that you should have. And we also know that you're still being blocked by some of it because 25% of the caffeine is still in you. And then we look at the kinds of sleep, and everyone who drinks coffee has less restorative sleep than people who don't drink it, who have no caffeine. That's why I so strongly urge people to go ahead and have coffee, but get decaf. Now, decaf still has some caffeine in it, but dramatically less. You get by the way, you get all the other benefits in terms of cancer prevention and brain deterioration, and all with the other cofactors and ingredients that are in the coffee. You just don't have the caffeine. So you get the terrific health benefits, but not the adenosine problem.
Yeah. And I always I will tell people I care about, including members of the community here, that you always have to pay close attention to the type of coffee you're getting, because coffee is known to have mold in it. That just, you have to know what type of coffee. Of course, that comes with learning about, you go to places outside, those are commercials. The coffee they're going to use there, including Starbucks, whatever, they're not going to use a good quality coffee because it's commercialism. They're going to use whatever. And the coffee have a lot of mold in it. So you have to be careful with what you are buying as far as coffee.
Oh, absolutely right. The toxins in mold are awful. The things they do to the human body, really poisonous. So I completely agree.
Here is a question from Army with Harmony. He's been an avid supporter for the channel, Doc. I just want to highlight this one here. So here's the question. Sometimes I stop coffee and it seems like I go through irritability. Often gets headaches too. Is this common?
It's the rule. It's not only common. Here it is. You've gotten addicted to the caffeine.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're addicted. And now you're going to go through drug withdrawal.
Yeah. But depends how much he drinks.
That's going to depend on the severity of the withdrawal.
Yeah. If it is 1 cup or 2 cups a day, it shouldn't be a problem.
It depends on the person's chemistry.
Okay.
Some people are a lot more vulnerable to headaches, to irritability.
Yeah.
The beauty is that it's in just a few days you get over the withdrawal symptoms.
Symptoms of it. Interesting.
And what we're really looking for is
Yeah.
go to decaf. You can blend it half and half for a short while and
Yeah.
slowly and reduce the amount of withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah.
Because headaches and irritability are no fun for anybody. And
That's
to go
true.
through 3 days of that needlessly when you can slowly withdraw from it
Yeah.
and still get all the benefits. I mean, you take a look at the benefits of the other ingredients in coffee and you say, I want all of those.
Yeah.
I just don't want and here's the number one thing. You don't want the sleep change. Sleep is a highly complicated, complex system, and anything you do to disrupt that diminishes the quality of your brain function.
Interesting.
It diminishes the quality of your circulatory function, your heart function. It decreases the quality of your life.
Yeah.
So caffeine is not your friend.
Sleep.
The coffee is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna ask the community a question. Here's a question for you guys. Just FYI. Throughout our lifespan, how many years do you think we spend in sleeping? That's the question. Yeah, I read the research about it, so I'm not going to answer till I see some answers from our viewers here, and I'll come back to it. I want to go to another point, Doc, which has to do with the role of coffee in supporting brain health. And the reason I want to highlight this one here, because that's something you are very familiar with, given your understanding of the brain chemistry and so forth. The reason I want to bring this up is because they have some studies that turned out to have some sort of a mix results, and some of those research suggested that coffee, and they put this in quote, may help protect against certain neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's, like Parkinson's. So in one study, on one review of 13 studies, people who regularly consumed caffeine had a significant lower risk of developing Parkinson's disease versus those who did not.
So the question is, were they researching coffee or strictly caffeine?
No, coffee in general, the link of it as far as consumption of coffee and the results on the brain chemistry or the impact on it.
Here's what we think is going on there, and here's what the researchers pointed to.
Yeah.
If we described what a free radical is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a molecule that has an open grab to it. It's looking for something. Now, if they're floating around in your brain, what do you think they're going to grab? They're going to grab neurons. So and that really hurts your brain. I mean, there's a lot of complexity here, but getting rid of these free radicals. If you look at, let me back up here. If we're looking at thousands and thousands of free radicals floating through your brain, they are not your friend. They're going to cause cognitive decline, dementia, Alzheimer's, and who knows what all else. They might even contribute to strokes. They really don't want any of those four things. And so these antioxidants are free radical quenchers. What they do is they bind with the free radical and carry it out of your system, either through sweat, through urine, or through feces. So they're very good at getting rid of them.
Interesting.
And coffee's loaded with it.
Interesting.
So
let me answer our viewers for the question that I asked. Some of you put like Phil, we put 25 years of sleep. Army with a Harmony put 20 years. That's the only two I get. At least based on the research that I read, we sleep about 10 years. They said we spend 10 years out of our life in sleeping.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
means human beings are sleep deprived.
Deprived, yeah.
Dr. O, I really recommend everyone follow your model for sleep.
Well,
it's the best one. It's the best one I know. I never heard of one as good as that.
If they watch TV, they won't be able to do it because I don't watch TV. That's why I go to bed at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
In terms of turning on the tube or turning on the computer, after about 7 o'clock, people really shouldn't do that
Yeah.
because of for one thing, the content.
Hmm.
If it's news, it's highly disturbing.
Of
If
course.
it's movies, by and large, they're killing people or maiming them or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's causing an adrenal reaction, which you don't want before you're trying to go to sleep.
Sleep.
And then there's the colors of the screen that degrade melatonin. Melatonin is what puts you to sleep and keeps you asleep. And you
Mm.
degrade that, and now you've got a major sleep problem. Even if you're sleeping the hours correctly, which you typically don't, you're not getting the right cycle of it.
Mm.
And there are actually 3 stages of sleep that you need to go through all 3 in a particular sequence. And and you need every one of them, or it doesn't work right.
Mm.
So if people are only if a person is 75 years old, they should have about 25 years of sleep,
Sleep.
one
So in
third of
that
their life.
case, those answers are right. Yeah, the answers
In
that
terms of what you should have, right?
yeah.
Correct.
I
But in
was
terms of what
surprised
people,
when I read that research saying that only 10 years. That's not enough.
it's
That's
almost
not
it's
enough.
they're sleeping half of what they should.
Yeah.
And how do they survive it? Caffeine.
Caffeine. That's the wow.
Yeah, instant ambition when you're not slept enough.
That's very, very interesting.
I have made this observation.
Hmm.
If I'm driving someplace in the morning and someone's driving recklessly and honking their horn, I say they didn't get enough sleep.
Sleep. Agitated. Yeah.
They are so on edge because of
Yeah.
poor sleep.
Yeah. There is also another aspect I'd like just to touch on, and of course, we always have the open questions for whomever wants to
Yeah.
ask questions. You guys just type it, and I'll ask Dr. Stewart about it. The other one about coffee has to do with the support for the heart health, and again, based on certain research that's been conducted. For example, one review found that drinking 3 to 5 cups of coffee per day was tied to about 15% reduction risk of heart disease. Now, another review of 21 studies showed that drinking 3 to 4 cups a day daily was associated with 21% lower risk of stroke. So how would you
It-
quantify the right from the wrong? Each study says, like we used to hear, eggs are bad for you. All you need to do is egg white. And, which one do you believe in?
Well, once you understand that the health benefits are not a direct result of caffeine, you start saying, well, what is it? How come the heart function is improved? And it goes back to those free radical quenchers and those things that really support good health. They're almost called phytonutrients. And so the coffee cherry bean
Yeah.
provides a lot of protection in terms of the free radical
Hmm.
protection. And so is it going to protect your heart from free radical damage? Yeah, those things are going through your system and grabbing at your heart tissue or the valves, that's not good for you. But the compounds in coffee make a big impact on that.
Yeah.
And 3 to 5 cups of the good antioxidants sounds pretty good. 3 to 5 cups of caffeine does not sound very good.
That's not good. No.
All the negative things we talked about, including the jitters and upset stomach and so on, that's an invitation for that one at 5 cups. But I've
Yeah.
certainly seen people drink a whole lot more than 5 cups.
That's not good. Not good.
Boy, do they fly through the day.
Yeah. Not good. No. I'm gonna do. I will do a video for the viewers here one day. How I prepare coffee at home, and it will be like 4 minutes, 5 minutes video, and share it with you guys. And I will do that.
Here's some things for people to consider.
Yeah.
The first is, if you're going to consume coffee, The best way to preserve your sleep is to make all the coffee consumption with caffeine before noon. This gives us approximately 60 to 70 to 80% of the caffeine is now been eliminated from your body. Not all, but your sleep is going to be less impacted. The second is make a conscientious effort to determine how much coffee is really good for you.
Yeah.
Because depending on your liver function, depending on other systems, the amount varies from person to person. One person might do really well on 1 cup, another person might do well on 5. I saw some interesting studies of in a large office, they varied the amount of caffeine in the coffee at the coffee machine. And they found that each person had a particular amount that they found most useful, and they kept going back for more and more coffee until they got the right amount of caffeine in them. I'm going, that's astonishing. So people feel a particular way when they get to the right amount of caffeine. So it's an experiment. It means pay attention to what and vary it over several days so you know which one is the best for you. Here's something else that's important to know.
Yeah.
Coffee can be a diuretic. That means it makes you pee. It pulls water out of your cells. So your body will do a dynamic adjustment when it knows how much coffee or how much caffeine you're going to do on a regular basis. It preserves the water and is not a diuretic. So let's say it's 2 cups a day, as an example.
Yeah.
And one day you have 4. Now it's a diuretic again. And it pulls a lot. So it has to be consistent about the amount of caffeine you're taking in every day, or it becomes a diuretic and you start to dehydrate, which is a bad thing.
Yeah.
And let me emphasize again, I'm kind of a broken record on this now. Because of the deep dive into the sleep studies,
Yeah.
decaf is really the best way to go. You get all the benefits for brain, for cancer prevention, and so on, but you don't get the sleep disruption. And doing a gradual transition into that is a respectful way to treat your body. I'm not suggesting you do something that causes you 3 or 4 days of discomfort when you can mix half and half or 3/4 and 1/4 till you get to the place where you're not doing drug withdrawal.
Yeah. Let me share this with our audience. This is from Pengyu. Good to have you here. Hi, I love my coffee. I use Arabica, which is a good coffee. I used to drink it in the Middle East when I would go there, especially in Yemen. So I use Arabica whole bean with a stove top percolator coffee pot. Brew it for 10 minutes. Add condensed milk. And I'm also diabetic. Condensed milk is that good to add to the coffee? Condensed milk.
I don't like adding cream or milk to coffee.
Yeah.
You're adding some complicating things there. But one thing you don't know is what's the impact of the milk on a person. Human beings typically cannot really drink cow's milk unless it's been treated with something like converted into yogurt or converted into kefir, where it's chemically altered and all the allergens in it have been converted to something else, like lactose no longer exists in it.
Yeah.
So, and it sounds like he's drinking a whole lot of it, a whole pot full, and it's not decaf. So his sleep is disrupted. Disrupted sleep contributes to diabetes.
Interesting. So, and just FYI, I have sometimes when I go to the farm and buy original milk from the farm.
Raw milk?
Yeah. You know what I end up doing with that? Is I turn it into a cream. And that's the cream I use sometimes for coffee. Because I let it sit for a few days and I use this one here. I have another question here quickly from why it's not showing here. Show. Here we go. Question. Army with Harmony. I may have missed it, but does coffee alone increase glucose levels?
Does that mean coffee with nothing in it? Black coffee?
Yeah, coffee alone, just by itself.
No, it doesn't. It can't. It has no sugar in it. Now, once you add sugar, and once you put syrup in it, or once you put milk in it, now the game's over, because now you are going to raise your blood sugar levels.
Yeah. All adding sugar and all. If you guys do anything, stay away from sugar, especially. We need to do, Doc, an episode about sugar, the white sugar. How about that? We'll do that next week. Yeah, the sugar industry here in the US they don't want to disclose information to people. Of course they won't.
Well, they pay a lot of money to keep the secrets.
Of course. Yeah, how about if we do that? What do you guys think? We'll do this one for next episode. We'll talk about sugar, white sugar, all type of sugars, and we'll just go from there.
Well, there's two kinds of sugars that are really, really bad for you.
Yeah.
One of them is potatoes.
Mm.
It is higher in the glycemic index than table sugar. You're going, okay. And high fructose corn syrup, of course, is the absolute worst.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to give you last word, Doc, before we let everybody go. And I need to sign off because I have to take off soon. So I want to give you the last word. What's a piece of advice for our viewers here regarding coffee?
Here's the general position that both David and I have. You own your life. You are responsible for what happens in your life. And our goal has been to give you quality information that's hard to come by, hard to understand, so you can make important decisions about your life and the quality of it. And so take this information and experiment with it. What makes you feel better? What adds to the quality of your life? Is it the amount of it? Is caffeine really important? But the point is, take good care of you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Doc. We truly, truly appreciate you being here, and we look forward to seeing you next time. All right. Let me share with you guys. I have a few pictures I'm going to share with you, as I mentioned at the beginning. And this one has to do with the garden, because I have some image, not this one here, some images I did for this is Christmas tree. That's not the one. Right here. Okay, let me share this with you so you guys can see this one here. Screen. All right, here's the first one. So in the back here, this is broccoli. This one, cabbage. And the next one you see is lettuce. I've been eating those. Those are very, very, very good. Very, very, very good. So, and of course, I do them right here. No chemicals. No, just nothing. It's just the basic plants, and water that. And I water this with the rainwater, because I have the rain barrels where I save the rainwater and so forth. So I just wanted to share this with you. Those are the cabbage that is growing here. So those are what I wanted to share with you guys. So anyway, let me remove this one here. Stop sharing for this. So FYI, I'll be doing tomorrow live stream at 12:15, and right after that, I'll be doing another one on Air Rumble. From now on, I'm just gonna use the term R. You all know what's going on with this platform here and what they're trying to do to the channel. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and thank you guys for being here. As always, remember, your health is your best asset. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.